I think there are a couple things that go overlooked that HVAC companies should be doing to try and help promote themselves locally. The first one that I see is just getting involved in the local community. It's, kind of an opportunity to do some cause related marketing, we call it, but getting out there and, being a participant in some of the charitable things that are around the area. There's always sports teams to sponsor, or, maybe a local, like, what would you call it? Like a local city or town fair of some kind that you can go and spotlight your services, but also contribute to whatever it is that they're looking to help build awareness around, or generate, some degree of donation money for. So I think that's a really great one. I think you want to be known. What we see with HVAC companies is people work with other people that they know, like, and trust, and are good at what they do. And since so much of the marketing is word of mouth, when you're out there in another local area where somebody can sing your praises to somebody else directly, that's always a great opportunity. Um, it's not very digital. Like, I know I'm a digital marketer, and to me, you'd probably expect that I would say it's something online more than anything. But I do think what you could do is cascade that into some of what you'd want to be doing online. So, for example, word of mouth is the modern word of mouth is social media. And so, if before you would think about being at that event and having somebody introduce you to somebody else and say, "Oh, this is my trusted HVAC partner. This is who does the work at my house," or whatever, that still can happen online. And so, the second thing I would say is just leverage online resources. There's things like Nextdoor, which, everybody talks about Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and all of those. And I do love Facebook and Instagram for HVAC companies. But I think Nextdoor is, one of the ones where not everybody's there yet. Most of the consumers might be there, but not a lot of the advertisers are. And I have seen a service provider specifically just embrace that platform 100% and not worry about Facebook and Instagram very much, and do really, really well with it. The last piece I'd say is just the overall digital persona, like the overall digital view of your company is super important. So, we always say, like, you go to Starbucks and you know that the cup matches the branding that you have out on the signage at Starbucks, and you know the green and white, you know the logo when you see it. Like, think like that when you look at your brand and your website and your posts on Nextdoor and whatever tent that you set up at that charitable function, and just make sure that people recognize you and your brand. It takes time, but the more so you can align your brand with feel good and what you're doing in the community, and get out there online and have people recognize you with the good reviews that you want to get, the better. Nextdoor does allow for those reviews. That's one of the ways to get seen, is when somebody posts a really good review on Nextdoor. That helps you get seen. But that would be kind of the last thing I touch on. Is there's just we've seen this in the data that I know that that ACHR has posted or put out there. There's a really big report that has a lot of this content out there. But the biggest discrepancy we saw is this, like, need for reviews that customers buy based on those reviews, and the lack of investment in time and money by the HVAC companies to put those reviews out there or get reviews from their customers. So that I would say is the last piece of the puzzle. That works hand in hand, right? It goes on Nextdoor. You can ask your customers and reach out to them and say, "Hey, could you post a review?" And then once that review gets posted, it's on those social channels to be able to do the digital word of mouth advertising that you want to do.
I think contractors, a lot of times, what they leave out is the actual personal engagement side of getting into the community and doing some cool stuff. Just being out with the people that you want to eventually do service work with you, that you want to be the one that that they are, you become their person, their plumber, their heating and air conditioning company. But to do that, you really have to build engagement and you have to work with them. So I really encourage you to seek out opportunities in your own market that you can be a part of the community. So I have a great pest control company here that they have a super cute mascot, and the name of the company is Spot On. So what Spot On does is they sponsor little scavenger hunts. So they sponsored a scavenger hunt for this big little day that we have in our town, and encourage people all several weeks worth of going around town and tagging them when they spotted what the clue was. And what it did is, we're not actually turning around and pushing services right after that. It's just becoming a household name. When you become a household name, you start really building, seeing the residual effects of that when people have a need for the service. They tend to think of you first. Another way that I think contractors are missing the boat here is referral programs. When you have a strong brand already, you can build out some cool ways like, refer three people to me and you get your maintenance membership free. But you have to be controlled in that. You have to have a plan of action. You can't just say it and not actually deliver on it. So one of my encouragements there would be to if you have a coordinator that's already coordinating your memberships in any form or fashion, then go ahead and have this referral plan. Use a tagging system inside of your CRM. You can use a good old Google document that just logs like these addresses, these homes referred these people. More than anything, it really will catch buzz if you would promote your referral program through your technicians when they're in the homes or through your plumbers when they're in the homes, and then turning around and promoting it on your social media platforms, on what you talk about. Like, hey, we'd love to have you as a referral partner. Those are just some unique ways to kind of stand out in your community, ways that you can always be branding, as I say, always be putting yourself out there so that you build that top of mind awareness.
So I'd say the first thing that needs to be done is commit the percentage of revenue that you're going to budget toward trying new things every year, right? So commit that number, that percentage of annual revenue toward marketing, and then commit kind of an exploratory or a local budget. So if it's 10% of your annual budget, let's say 1 to 2% goes toward trying new things in a local market. There are some super overlooked things, what I would call like hyper local involvement that you may not get direct attribution for, but and this isn't new. This is not my idea, but like what's keeping someone from spending the $800 that it costs to be the scoreboard sponsor of a local football team or the local Little League team or putting their name on the basketball jerseys for the YMCA? These are things that usually cost under $1,000 to just put that brand in front of the consumer, put that brand in front of your ideal customer. I think we had the Climate Care Heaters a couple of years ago, was a soccer team locally here. So that's one way, is just commit to it. Don't obsess over direct attribution. And then look for ways to truly get involved and get local. So another example, my town has this event called Walk with a Doc. And the sponsor is an electrical company. And the way they sponsor it is just by providing the water bottles on Saturday morning when the walk goes on. So they're there, they have their sign, they're handing out water bottles. So you have to have people that are committed. Chad Peterman would be a great person to talk to. Anytime you're in Indianapolis, if there's something going on in the community, there's Peterman people there. It might not be Chad, it might not be his brother, but you see people, you see the brand, you see a cardboard cutout. That's one way. Another way, this is like something that I don't see enough of, are and you know this, Maria, because you're getting ready to buy an old house, like the old furnace contests. Those are really, really good ways to get people thinking about their 10, 12, 15, 20-year-old furnace and have them nominated one another. Great way to build a database. But my main, I guess, takeaway would be just committing to the annual budget, committing to to test some of that budget, and be okay being hyper local without direct attribution.
When it comes to advertising for HVAC, the overlooked ways are really the new emerging abilities of serving your ads. There are three primary sections, I would say. One is making sure that your brand is strong. Two is the new emerging areas to serve your ads. And three is attention. First is brand. If you don't have a good brand and you don't have a good culture, you're not going to have a good reputation. So start there. The basics are still important. From there, you want to understand that attention is shifting. It was originally in, print and television media, and now it is shifting over to social media as well as streaming services. But the benefit there is you don't have to just rely on other people creating that attention. You can create your own attention using organic ways on social media and really kind of developing the eyes or bringing those eyes to your company. From there, once you create that attention, then you can serve ads using those social media platforms, as well as understanding the TV attention is now switching to streaming. And within OTT and streaming, you have a lot more abilities to target those ads to make sure you're serving direct customers, helping budget. But also, it is a way to get good data so you know those ads are landing instead of guessing in the traditional ad serving mediums. Well, streaming also is kind of connected to podcasting and the intention on those, called OTT in general. And the idea is we're not just going to look for areas to serve our ads based on what other people are doing. It is good to try to create an organic audience and have your own organic base and then serve your ads to where that attention is. The idea for creating that organic is twofold. Smaller and mid-sized companies, a lot of people really enjoy seeing behind the scenes of how those companies are run. And you'll get a lot of attention just showing your day-to-day, unique jobs or jobs well done. For the larger companies, I would say the approach is a lot more brand voice and brand personality, where you can be funny, you can be, a sincere neighbor, but if you can create that character and that personality around your brand and your voice, then you'll start getting a lot more eyes on it. And when you are serving the ads using those more sophisticated areas, you'll be able to be recognized and be top of mind when there's a need for that house.